For what?
Because I told you to.
You haven't have a reason, sir. You didn't pull me over. But you didn't pull me over.
Get the license out, or I'll hit for a backup, and I'll take you out of the car.
Get your driver's license. Call your supervisor, sir.
Get your driver's license out right now.
Call your supervisor.
Please call your supervisor. Because you're not pulling me over, neither.
You get your driver's license out right now. Show me ID.
Call your supervisor.
What do you need my ID for, sir?
Well, because you want to run your mouth to me.
No, because you was looking at my license plate. For what?
Exactly.
For what?
You don't have the right to run this.
I got my rights to do anything I want to do. I'm a police officer.
You can't run.
You get your driver's license out right now. Show me ID.
Call your supervisor.
What do you need my ID for, sir?
Well, because you want to run your mouth to me.
No, because you was looking at my license plate. For what?
Exactly.
For what?
You don't have the right to run this.
I got my rights to do anything I want to do. I'm a police officer.
You can't run.
That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
I'll pull you over and I'll tow your car.
I don't give a you kill him on cold blood. I will articulate to fix the problem.
A shocking confession caught on tape as a Mississippi police chief brags about killing 13 people in the line of duty, all while using racist slurs.
I have shot and killed in the line of duty 13 different people. I shot this 119 times. Okay? I mean, I saved 67 kids in a vehicle was shot 319 times. But he was hit 119 times by me.
Audio obtained by the Mississippi Center for Investigative Reporting through civil rights organization Julian features a recording of Lexington Police Chief Sam Dobbins. The audio was obtained by another officer, Robert Lee Hooker, who called it, quote, appalling, racist, hateful, and detrimental to the welfare of the people. Hooker resigned from the Lexington PD last week, citing a toxic work environment. In late July, the Lexington Board of Aldermen voted to fire Dobbins. An interim police chief has since been appointed.
I don't own no slaves. My folks didn't own no slaves. Hey, you know, what are we talking about? 200 years ago?
The police chief of a city in West Georgia has resigned and an officer is fired after body camera video shows the two making racist comments. Happened this past Monday. The City Council of Hamilton, Georgia, asked for the resignation of Chief Gene Allman and terminated Sergeant John Brooks. Both can be heard on the video, which was made hours before the start of a Black Lives Matter march last June. A part-time city employee found the footage while checking out the body camera to see if it was working. That employee then brought it to the mayor's office.
It seems to me like they furnished them a house to live in. They furnished them clothes to put on their back. They furnished them food to put on their table, and all they had to do was work.
And now we give them all those things and they don't have work.
That's it.
Like a rookie Detroit police officer fired over his post on Snapchat.
Thanks for being with us for the news at 5. Chief Craig says Officer Sean Bostwick will be off the payroll effective tomorrow morning.
That's after he posted this photo to Snapchat with the caption, here's the quote, "Another night to wrangle up these zoo animals," in reference to Detroit residents. Priya Mann spoke with the chief today. Priya?
And that post was shared widely on Facebook as well. In one instance, shared close to 4,000 times with more than 270 comments, quickly going up the chain of command, reaching the chief of police.
This will be his last day on our payroll, and tomorrow he will be off the payroll, no longer a Detroit police officer. He is clear on that.
Detroit Police Chief James Craig fired rookie cop Sean Bostwick less than 24 hours after this disturbing Snapchat post.
His reasoning certainly didn't pass muster. I mean, there's only so many ways to say what he said. Another night to wrangle up these zoo animals. I mean, what were you trying to say?
Bostwick worked in the 12th precinct and had just started his shift Sunday afternoon when he posted the picture. He was immediately suspended, and the chief ordered a confirmation hearing Monday morning.
Yes, he did express some remorse, but I certainly advised him in a very strong way that this is placed a stain not just on our department, the entire organization.
Bostwick joined the academy in June of 2017, but required an extended probation due to low test scores. He'd been on patrol for just 2 months, but his commander already had concerns about his ability in the field.
Do I think that people come in with biases? Of course they do.
Is she gonna just sit there?
The conversation intended for no one is touching everyone.
Dumb. Oh, I hate him so much. Oh, I hate this world.
April 5th, Cincinnati police officer Rose Valentino is caught on her body cam. She's frustrated in traffic and begins a rant. Some say it's not only her words that are doing the talking.
Hate 'em.
Her body language after she, spoke those words was one of just anger.
Joe Mallory is president of the NAACP. His reaction to Valentino being fired?
Well, I think they came to the right decision, and we fully support the decision, and that's the only conclusion I think they could have and should have come to.
But that decision could be reversed if Valentino challenges it and arbitrators agree that she should get her job back. But some say she's a liability to the city. Ohio State Senator, former officer, former Cincinnati Councilman Cecil Thomas talked to us when the video was released.
She's a powder keg for the city.
Part of that is because of this. 2018, she was one of 3 officers who held a realtor and prospective home buyers at gunpoint, thinking they were thieves. That cost the city about $150,000. In January 2019, after a homicide at the Glenway Pony Keg, she showed family crime scene pictures while at dinner at a local casino. In March 2020, she was arrested off duty. Her sister and brother-in-law accused her of punching them and repeatedly bashing a vehicle with an umbrella. She was charged in that case. So the one-time highly regarded officer, who was even a star in a policewoman reality show, is now facing a new reality.
Turn out of this story. Tonight, 3 Wilmington, North Carolina police officers have been fired after a routine audit of a patrol car camera uncovered what authorities describe as extremely racist comments toward African Americans. Here's CBS's Jeff Pegues.
An internal probe by the Wilmington Police Department reveals hate-filled conversations with 3 veteran officers. Officer Kevin Piner is heard telling Corporal Jesse Moore that the protest would soon lead to a civil war and that he is ready. He goes on to tell Moore that he was going to buy a new assault rifle and soon we are just going to go out and start slaughtering them expletive N-words. Piner says a civil war is needed to wipe them off the expletive map. That'll put them back about 4 or 5 generations. Later, during a phone call with Piner, Moore refers to a woman he arrested as the N-word and says she needed a bullet in her head right then. Donnie Williams is the department's new police chief. He fired the officers on his first day.
When you talk about killing people and generations of people, that is disturbing.
According to investigators, the officers blame their comments on the stress of today's climate in law enforcement. CBS News has reached out to the police union and the 3 officers for comment. So far, they haven't responded.
Moore told Piner he was crazy, and the recording stopped a short time later. Gilmore, hired by the department in 1997, said that whites were now worshiping blacks, adding he'd seen a video of a fine-looking white girl and his little punk pretty boy bowing down and kissing their toes. The 2 then complained about black officers on the force, calling one a piece of expletive, and then complaining that another was sitting on his ass during the protests. Let's see how his boys take care of him when things get rough. See if they don't put a bullet in his head. Just the most hideous, horrendous rhetoric and racism displayed in these recordings. So they've been fired.
Okay, of course, all 3 of them say we're not racist. Okay, so
they're stressed out, Cenk. They say that they're stressed out.
Last week, we showed you Kirsten Holmes' investigation into recently released police misconduct reports. They showed incidents of racism, discrimination, racial profiling, and excessive force in the San Diego Police Department ranks.
Kirsten is joining us tonight to talk more about why these incidents are just coming to light now, trying to give us more transparency in law enforcement, and that has continued to grow across the country for years now. So, Kirsten, let's begin by backing up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us why these incidents are just now coming to light.
That's a really good question. Okay, so we got to start with SB 16. It was a law that says starting January 1st,
Its purpose is to hold law enforcement agencies accountable. This is SB 16, and we're supposed to hold them accountable through this law. They're supposed to release the misconduct reports, and once we got a hold of those misconduct reports, a lot of the incidents we saw were concerning. So we reached out to San Diego's Black Officer Association, San Diego Police Union, and San Diego Police Department. We did this for weeks, and we got no comment on that story. So these misconduct records being brought to the public, that's good news, but there's still a lot more to talk about, and the public deserves to hear how this is being addressed moving forward.
Okay, so that was looking back. We're talking about the allegations that were in your report, but now there are new allegations, and there is, in fact, a new lawsuit against the San Diego Police Department. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So we got to talk about Arthur Scott. He's a Black San Diego police officer who worked for the department for more than 25 years. He is now suing the department, saying that he was retaliated against more than once for reporting incidents of racism. So one of those incidents was included in our original reporting. You can see it on your screen right now. This is a cutout of rapper Rick Ross with money, asking officers to sign up for overtime. But there's something else I have to show you here too. We have another disturbing image. Through Scott's lawsuit, we were able to find out about an old SDPD training video that shows the department's first Black officer, Frank McCarter, in a cartoon. You see him there. He was drawn as an ape chasing after Chinese men. Pretty disturbing stuff there.
I tell you this to your face. Black Hispanics between 14 to 21, they must get stopped. I tell you this to your face. Black Hispanics between 14 to 21, they must get stopped.
At the end of the month, these officers, whoever don't have that arrest or those few summonses, they're pressured to find something. You might not see nothing. You're supposed to be visible. You might not see anything, but you go hunting, like bounty hunting for an arrest. Locking up some old guy, some homeless guy, finding somebody who's riding a bicycle on the sidewalk, who's spitting, and you bring him in.
The problem is when you go hunting, when you put any type of numbers on a police officer to perform, we are going to go to the most vulnerable.
The most vulnerable?
Of course. We're going to go to LGBT community. We're going to go to the Black community. We're going to go to those people that have no vote, that have no power. If we start doing what we're doing in Midtown Manhattan, a phone call to the mayor's office is going to be made. That's going to be the end of it.
We're the predators, they're the prey. The worst thing you can have is a police officer that needs an arrest for the month.
So you're all minorities. How does that make you feel?
It's horrible.
This is something coming from the top that
I used a little excessive force, and I slapped somebody when he said something really insulting to me. And after I did that, I realized, wow, I shouldn't have, I had no right to do that. That was not professional. It not only was not professional, it was not human. About a week later, another incident occurred, and I used more force than I needed. After the guy was handcuffed, I grabbed him, I pushed him up against the wall, and I said, don't you dare say that to me again. Do you understand? And I realized this is a disease I'm starting to develop.
The hunt for Black people, as he calls it, is part of a racist system that he condemns today. The first thing he denounces is the quota of arrest imposed on U.S. police in many large cities. This race for numbers pushes them to stop Black people for no reason.
Quotas lead to arrests for no reason. Minorities have no one to call if they're wrongly arrested. The white person will call their local political committee man or person. They'll call the parents, perhaps, of a teenager, will call the local politician. Yo, what's going on here? My child was arrested just because he didn't have his license. Why don't you just tell him to go home and get his license? And things like, so the white person has more power. Black people have no connection to the people in power. So you know there's not going to be any blowback on arresting a minority because they don't have any power to complain.
And African Americans are not only unjustly arrested, they are not treated with the same respect as white people are.
If you stop somebody from going through a light, you would say, hey, out of your car. Out of your car. Show me ID. You wouldn't say that. To a white person, you would go up and say, may I see your driver's license, please? And blacks know that. Blacks know when you go up and say, hey, out of your car, now. And then they say, well, what did I do? Oh, what did I do? Don't say that. Don't ask me why I'm stopping you. I said, get out of the car. And that's right there, your first disrespect. And I saw that happening, and blacks know it's happening. They know it's not happening to white people, so automatically they start resenting the police, just from little verbal commands, let alone the physicality of grabbing somebody and putting them in handcuffs while you check their ID. Unfortunately, when I would tell other officers, whoa, that's enough, then they would think, hey, what are you? N for the word. What are you, an N lover?
Since he retired, he campaigns openly against the racist behavior of the police. The former officer has even made a very explicit sign.
I'm asking police, end open season. Stop shooting black men just like they're some kind of animal.
They wouldn't do that with a white?
No.
Why?
They devalue the black man. The black man is, well, let's put it this way. In driving down a street in Philadelphia on a hot Friday night in August, I was with a partner, and of course, hot August night in Philadelphia, a lot of these people don't have air conditioning, and they're outside. So there's a lot of people outside on the steps in the street, and as we're riding down, my partner says, wow, the roaches are out tonight. This